Hello and welcome to today's IAPB webcast. My name is Sophia Patai from the International Centre for Eye Health. Today I'm joined by Professor Brien Holden of the University of New South Wales and also CEO and a founder of the Brien Holden Vision Institute. Professor Holden, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
First of all, I'd like to talk about refractive error in general. Please tell us about the magnitude of the problem and the successes you've had in the last 10 years.
Well, it's quite amazing that in the last 12 years this whole issue has become known. Prior to that, it wasn't considered to be a matter of public health that people were blind or vision impaired simply because they didn't have a pair of glasses to see. But simultaneously, in India and Australia, interestingly enough, there were two papers published, one by the LV Prasad Eye Institute, one by Utalis Group, which showed that 55% of all vision impairment was associated with uncorrected refractive error, which of course means people who had not been able to access an eye examination and a pair of glasses. And this was found to be surprising, even to the hundreds of thousands of ophthalmologists and optometrists around the world, that the number one problem was uncorrected refractive error. In fact, when Nag Rao mentioned this to me, I said, well, that sounds a bit uninteresting because refractive error can be a little boring for an optometrist, which is better, one or two. But he said, no, this is serious. Yes. There are people who are legally blind. 8% of the blindness was caused by uncorrected refractive error. And of course, when we got into the studies related to it, in Malawi, for example, we found that 38% of the children in blind institutions were not blind, they just needed a high-powered pair of glasses. And when we did studies in Sri Lanka and other places, 90% of the people who needed reading glasses to work or to enjoy their lives or to perform their daily functions had no reading glasses and were virtually blind at near. So it has transpired over the last 10 years and more recently been published that there are 640 million people who are blind or vision impaired simply because they don't have a pair of glasses. So the number one thing that's happened over the last 12 years is A, it became known, B, it was adopted by the International Agency for Prevention of Blindness, particularly by Christian Garms, the current president. It was adopted by the World Health Organization as an important issue, particularly through the work of Serge Reznikov. And in 2006, WHO came out and said the number one cause of vision impairment worldwide is a lack of access to an eye exam and pair of glasses, which of course mobilised all the optometrists around the world to realise that they had an important responsibility to deliver to people in need. Whereas prior to these events, optometry was sort of in the high street doing its thing. So the second thing that happened was it mobilised world optometry, and the third thing it did was mobilise the patients of optometrists to support the development of eye care systems. And following the WHO tradition for such a program, that means human resource development, the development of schools of optometry, of training programs, of training vision technicians, training optical dispensers, affordable technology. Our group started up the Global Resource Centre in South Africa to deliver low-cost spectacles, for example, and the distribution of eye care through vision centres, following the Nag Rao model of pyramid-type development of eye care from vision centres to secondary centres, tertiary centres and so forth. So systems developed. That was the third most important thing that happened.
So refractive error has come a long way in 12 years, as you say.
Well, when you think that 4 billion out of the 7 billion people on the planet have refractive error, and they go about their normal daily business by going to their local eye care provider, we weren't thinking about the 640 million people who could not get access. So the uncorrected refractive error issue became a major part of the Vision 2020 program.
These are huge achievements, but there's still clearly a long way to go. So looking ahead, what do you see as the future opportunities and challenges, and how do you think IAPB can play a role in this?
Well, the work that's necessary in order to understand the distribution of the problem has largely been done in terms of how many people need distance glasses, reading glasses and so forth. And over the last few years there have been some major economic papers published, particularly in the Bulletin of the World Health Organization, looking at the cost. Now, one of these papers is coming out in October, and it will say that $202 billion a year is lost in productivity through direct and indirect costs related to uncorrected refractive error throughout the world. To fix the problem requires $28 billion worth of investment in educational institutions, in training programs, and in delivery of eye care for the first 5 years. So the economics of the issue are becoming very obvious, and that if the world invested, say, $28 billion, they could save $200 billion a year in lost productivity. But that isn't about the people. The people problem is a child in school who has short-sightedness, who can't see to learn, or an adult who can't see to work, or an elderly person who can't see to enjoy their lives, read their Bible or the Quran or whatever they want to do with their lives. So the cost in terms of quality of life far exceeds the economic cost, and it's so unnecessary, it's so unfair, and it's so unreasonable that our planet can't afford people to have an eye examination and a pair of glasses.
And at the moment, I think these are exciting times for you, because there's going to be an alignment of the International Centre for Eye Care Education, IC, with the Brien Holden Vision Institute. So how do you see this helping to address the refractive error agenda?
Well, it's interesting because in the Brien Holden Vision Institute we have been focusing primarily on advanced technology development through science and research and so forth, and even development and commercialisation of products, and we get a royalty stream from licensing those products. Now, what needs to happen throughout the whole of eye care, and in fact healthcare, is the development of high technology, affordable systems that will make everybody's job easier. For example, we are currently in the situation where we are looking at developing a smart retinal camera which will be able to diagnose and advise the practitioner whether this person has glaucoma, red, yellow or green pass. And when you think about Malawi, where there's an instrument and a technician, and that instrument will be able to advise the technician whether this patient needs to be referred or not, you're talking about developing technology that goes into the public health arena and also into the private health arena. So what we see is a marriage between science, technology, research and development, innovation, and coming from the public health area, the need, education, delivery systems for people in need throughout the world. And when you put all that together, you have a synergy in all of those areas: research and development, education, and delivery to people in need. So we're looking forward to an amazing future.
Well, we wish you all the luck in this exciting new phase. Professor Holden, thank you very much indeed for joining us and this wonderful update on refractive error. You're also the chair of the 9GA organising committee, so you're a very busy man, so continued success for the week ahead. Thank you.
I would like to just say one thing about the 9GA. It has been absolutely unbelievably conducted by the Indian local committee in an amazing way. I mean, they have done everything possible to make this thing work, and we had fears of visa problems and so forth. They dealt with every problem so professionally, and this is a record attendance, and we are very, very excited about the role that IAPB has played and the role that the Indian LV Prasad Eye Institute and our colleagues here have played in making this a magnificent meeting.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. We're looking forward to an exciting week, and do join us for our next webcast.